Hey guys, Matt here. This is my review of Cloud Atlas. This movie is directed by the Wachowskis, who previously brought us the Matrix trilogy, Speed Racer, V for Vendetta, and Tom Tykwer is also a director. And the movie stars a whole slew of actors, including Tom Hanks, Halle Berry, Jim Broadbent, and Hugh Grant. Now, the plot of this movie is kind of tricky because it's actually 6 tales, or almost short stories, that all of the actors in the movie take part in. Some of them are the main character and they carry the story. Other times they may be featured in one of the other stories in like a minor role, almost as if it was a cameo. And because the roles varied from major part of a story to a minor part, it's going to be kind of difficult for me to let you guys know how the acting was in this movie. Like, I wanted to say, oh yeah, it's Tom Hanks, Halle Berry, they knocked it out of the park, but unfortunately they didn't. Tom Hanks, in his story of a post-apocalyptic world and an alien visitor, his story was good. You know, his character was believable. You know, going into this movie, I was kind of like, I don't know if this is going to be a Tom Hanks movie, you know? And his role in his main story was good, along with Halle Berry. But it's the parts in which they played minor characters that kind of had me going, oh, Tom, you didn't have to play that role. Because it was like the makers in the movie was like, all right, Tom Hanks, we know you can act, but let's see how many different voices and characters you can play, and go. Some of his roles, you know, were like, had me going, is that Tom Hanks? Oh wow, that is Tom Hanks. Other times I was like, okay, I can clearly tell that's Tom Hanks because his accent isn't very good. Come on, Tom, you're coming off a bit cartoonish. Now, the stories, there are 6 of them. The first one takes place in 1853, I believe. That's Jim Sturgis's story. And then you have 1936, that's Ben Whishaw's character. He's going to be playing Q in the new James Bond movie. And then 1970s, that's Halle Berry's story. 2012, that's Jim Broadbent's story. And then you have future, way in the future in Korea, 2144, and that's she's a Korean actress, Doona Bae, I believe is her name. That's her story. And all the actors I mentioned, including Susan Sarandon, Hugh Grant, Keith David, Ben Whishaw, Hugo Weaving, they all have roles in these stories, and like I said, some major, some minor. Now, the acting for each character having to carry their own story, for the most part, was good. However, Jim Sturgis, I've never really been a fan of his, so I kind of felt that his story was, like, really uninteresting. Yeah, Tom Hanks was in it, but his story felt uninteresting. Let me see. Oh, yeah. Another disappointment I had in this movie is that Hugo Weaving, all of his characters in every one of the stories is a bad guy. And Hugo Weaving does play a great villain, or at least a character that's often pessimistic, but I kind of wanted Hugo Weaving to be, you know, the main character in one of his stories. I actually wanted to see like a heroic Hugo Weaving, but we didn't get that. So unfortunately, he was just, you know, your typical Hugo Weaving villain. He did a good job in the post-apocalyptic story, but that's all we got from him. Now, I want to say that, yeah, come Oscar season, this movie's going to take home a whole bunch of awards, but unfortunately, I really don't see it taking home any Oscars for acting. Maybe Tom Hanks, but they've skipped him, you know, at the Oscars before in 2007 with Charlie Wilson's War, so I really don't know who they're going to give it to. As far as directing goes, sure, I could get that, because this movie is different. It's different, I'll give it that. Set design, great. Music, wonderful. Costume design, awesome. Makeup, great. But that's all the awards is going to take home, I feel. I don't think it's going to take home anything acting-wise. Maybe Halle Berry would get something. I even want to say Hugo Weaving, but he's really never been nominated for anything, and it's a shame because he's a great actor. Now, don't get me wrong. It was good to see these actors and actresses being so versatile, especially when it came to their makeup or their accents. Hugh Grant actually surprised me quite a bit in this movie, and it was even neat to see some of the male actors playing female characters, and vice versa, especially Doona Bae, who's a Korean actress. It was really neat to see her play a English woman or a Spanish person. It really took me off guard in some moments in the movie. But other than that, you know, unless you're going to sit in the movie going, oh, I know who that is. Oh, that's so-and-so. Oh, what? Is that Tom Hanks here? It really, the storyline isn't that engaging, at least for me. Now, from a movie that's almost 3 hours long, first hour I was yawning. It's good storytelling, but it's not really exciting except for one or two stories. So, because this movie was like the Speed Racer movie and the third Matrix movie, in my opinion, and they were just nice to look at, rating from 1 to a 5, I'm going to give Cloud Atlas a 3. If you're one of those people that goes into a movie and likes deeper meanings and likes to take moments and events, you know, and actually like to think about them and break them down, then this is the movie for you. But for me, it was just okay. Hey, it wasn't as confusing as Tree of Life, but wasn't as good as Forrest Gump. So until next time, guys, see ya. One more quick thought about Cloud Atlas. This movie, like a movie that came out earlier this year, Prometheus, both movies came out and they both brought us something new. They both asked questions that movies, to my knowledge, hadn't done before. Cloud Atlas's theme was about good karma, bad karma, possibly reincarnation, how the decisions and choices and events of one person in one lifetime could affect that of someone else in the next. Whereas Prometheus poses the question of why were we created and where do we come from? And people knew that that movie was coming, and people, you know, heard all this speculation and hype, and people saw it and they're ready to, you know, hail it as the next great classic. You know, both movies had good set design, good costume, good special effects. Acting was good for the most part. And some people were like, oh, could have been so much better. So I think with Cloud Atlas, you're probably going to hear this a lot, is that you're either going to love it or you're going to hate it.